Miles was standing at the grave, looking at his wife's picture. Life is unpredictable, he thought. Most of the time we make mistakes, and the rest of the time we try to correct them. He and Nicole met 20 years ago. They were in love, and even thought they would be together for life. But then, when Miles was about to propose to Nicole, he met Vanessa. While Nicole was a calm, shy and quiet girl, Vanessa was the complete opposite, fiery, explosive and rule-breaking. Miles lost his mind from passion within a week. Vanessa, breathing hotly on his neck, said, "I want to go to the end of the world with you, to the farthest edge, and be there with you, only with you." And he, unable to refuse her, gave up everything, and they left. At first he was tormented by a guilty conscience, but then life spun around him. However, Vanessa soon wanted to go to the other end of the world, but at this time not with him. Frankly, Vanessa seriously shook his nervous system during the 5 years they were together. Therefore, when she decided to leave him for another man, Miles was just happy. He didn't go back to his hometown, especially since no one was waiting for him there. And he was ashamed too. He thought that if he met Nicole, whom he left without saying a word, he would vanish into thin air with shame. Instead, Miles plunged into work, and by the age of 30, he had his own little business, and by 40, he was considered the richest person in the area. But he lacked one thing: happiness. Of course, he had women, but he didn't want to tie himself to any of them. He couldn't understand why until one beautiful day when he realized that he was comparing every woman to Nicole. And then he decided to go back. He did everything quickly so that he wouldn't give himself time to change his mind. When he settled in a new place, he began to look for Nicole. Miles understood that she might be a married and respectable woman, but to his enormous horror, he found her not married, but dying in a hospice. "Miles, is that you? You came back," she whispered when he entered her room. Miles, seeing a tear roll down her cheek, rushed to her and hugged her hand. "Nicole, my dear Nicole, everything will be okay. Do you hear? We will definitely cure you." Nicole smiled faintly, and Miles rushed to the doctor. "You understand there is no chance. She has a month left, maybe 2. "This cannot be. I don't believe you." "It's too late. No treatment can help anymore. The most you can do for her is to brighten her last days." Miles did everything he could. He took care of Nicole and hired the best caretakers for her. One day, while sitting next to her, he asked, "Tell me, have you got a dream? What do you want?" Nicole smiled weakly. "You know, I actually have a dream, or rather 2. I always wanted to marry you. When you left, I had already found a wonderful wedding dress and imagined myself wearing it. I even saw our wedding in my dreams. It was so beautiful." Miles closed his eyes painfully, then said, "We will have a wedding, a real one, I promise you." He stood up, was about to leave, but stopped. "And the second dream?" "I'll tell you later. I will definitely tell you." 2 days later, Nicole, who could barely stand without the support of his arm, became his wife in a wedding dress, with a beautiful hairstyle and tears in her eyes. She held on with all her might, and even managed to attend the celebratory dinner. There weren't many people. Miles hadn't made friends here yet, so the guests were mainly medical staff, those with whom Nicole had been in contact in recent times. And 3 days later, she got worse. The woman was taken urgently to the hospital. Miles didn't leave her side, transferred all his duties to his deputy. Luckily, the man was reliable. He understood that this was her end. Nicole, what about the second dream? You wanted to tell me something, he asked her, gently stroking her head. But Nicole didn't answer. A week later, she had gone forever. Miles didn't just cry. He roared like a wounded animal. He blamed himself for everything. If he had come earlier, if he had never left. Today marked exactly 40 days since Nicole left him forever. He sighed heavily, put his hand on the gravestone for a second, and walked to the cemetery exit. He didn't want to go home. It was too lonely there. Miles seriously thought about getting a cat, but immediately dismissed the idea. Who would be with him if he was constantly in his office? Coming home, Miles walked through the empty rooms and looked at the layer of dust. A woman used to come and clean twice a week, but she had quit a month ago, and he should have found a new housekeeper a long time ago. Suddenly the doorbell rang. Miles opened the door and saw a thin girl in front of him. "Hello? Excuse me, please. Your neighbours suggested that you might have a job for me." Miles looked at her with curiosity. "What kind of job are you looking for?" "Oh, it doesn't matter to me. I don't have a choice in my position. I can clean, cook, take care of the garden. I just need a job. And, if possible, with accommodation." "Well, come in. Do you have any documents?" "Yes, of course. Here are recommendations from my previous job." Miles was sifting through the papers. The girl was almost 22 years old. He looked up at her and nodded towards her small but noticeable belly. "Does the child have a father?" The girl wasn't embarrassed. "Of course, he has a father. Children are not born without a father." But he decided to wash his hands of it. "You're not from this city. Why did you come to us?" "There's a reason. I wouldn't want to talk about it now. Maybe later." Miles thought for a while, then said, "Okay, I'll take you, but with a probationary period. I never hired anyone off the street before, always through an agency, but there's a first time for everything. Let's go. I'll show you the room and where everything is." 3 days later, Miles couldn't understand how he lived without Emma. Everything at home was clean, and this was, although his house was huge. The aromas emanating from the kitchen were so enticing that he felt like he was in a good restaurant. One evening, pushing away an empty plate, Miles said with a smile, "Emma, if you're going to cook so deliciously all the time, I'll get fat soon." She laughed. "No, you only eat once a day. You have coffee in the morning and then you're gone all day." Miles, looking thoughtfully at her, suddenly asked, "Well, maybe now you'll tell me what brought you to our city and what happened to the father of the child." Emma sighed and sat down. "Well, I'll start from the beginning. The father of the child is the nephew of the people I was working for before you. They're very decent, good people. The owner wanted his nephew to marry me, but I refused. I've just burned out immediately. It all became disgusting, so I decided to leave. Besides, somewhere in this city, my mother lives." "Do you not know where your mother lives? How can that be?" "Oh, it's a very strange story. I grew up in an orphanage. My mother left me at the maternity hospital and ran away. I've always thought that she, well, to put it mildly, wasn't a very good person. But about a year ago I received a big letter from her. You see, she left me, not because she didn't love me, but because she couldn't do otherwise. She was alone without money, without support. Her fiancé left her when she was pregnant, but she didn't blame him. Said he didn't know about the pregnancy. Mum wanted to take me later, but couldn't find me. All this time she was looking for me. She found me when I was already an adult. She wrote that she would understand if I didn't want to communicate with her, but she wanted me to know that my parents were not alcoholics or drug addicts. Dad was also from this city, but went somewhere far away. She lived here. Then the pregnancy happened. Somehow, everything went wrong for her, and now she's sick. But she says she's fighting, that she'll definitely beat the disease, and she'll wait until we meet. I was confused and didn't know how to react to this letter. I was adopted 3 times in my life, and all 3 times I ended up back in the orphanage. The government either paid too little for me, or the foster parents had their own child. Well, it doesn't matter. I got used to the fact that no one needed me, including my mother. But she wrote so passionately. I couldn't decide on anything for a year, and now I finally decided to come here. I want to find her and talk. Miles listened and did not understand what was bothering him, and then he realized. This story was very similar to his own story with Nicole, only Nicole didn't have children. He looked at Emma and felt a drop of sweat run down his back. "Emma, may I see this letter?" "Yes, but are you okay? You look pale." "Emma, everything's fine. Please, bring me the letter." Emma left and Miles approached the window. "No, of course it's all nonsense. It just can't be. But he will definitely help Emma. She has no one else to turn to." The girl returned, handed him an envelope. He unfolded several sheets, and he felt awful. Nicole had a special way of writing the letter H. He had never seen it from anyone else. Now he knew he was looking at the familiar H letters and wanted to cry. "What's wrong with you?" Emma asked anxiously. Miles did not answer. He was reading what Nicole had written to her daughter, whom she had been forced to leave because of him. Finally, he put the sheets of paper aside. "Emma, get ready. I know where your mother is." The girl slowly stood up. "Maybe tomorrow. Probably. We need to warn her that we are coming." "No, Emma, there is no need to warn her," Miles replied sadly. 40 minutes later they stood at Nicole's grave. "I only now realize that you were very similar. Perhaps that's why I didn't refuse you in the job, even though I didn't realize it." A tear rolled down Emma's cheek. "She couldn't wait for me. She fought with all her might, but couldn't make it." Miles didn't stop her from crying, realizing that she had to endure another blow and find out that he was the person who betrayed her mother and because of whom she lost her childhood. He didn't know what she would say or how she would behave, but he expected that the girl simply might not want to see him anymore. They returned home. Seeing Emma's condition, Miles decided to leave his revelations for later. Before going to her room, Emma looked at him closely. "Are you the man? My mother's fiancé?" He sighed heavily and nodded. Emma looked at him for a moment and silently disappeared into her room. A couple of hours later, Miles was still awake. He was sure that Emma was awake too. The man paced back and forth in his office, feeling like a father and almost a grandfather. It was strange, but he was happy that he was not alone anymore. Suddenly the door to Emma's room slammed shut and he went out to the hall. Emma was getting dressed with a bag next to her. "Emma, won't you even listen to me?" he asked. She looked at him anxiously. "I thought you were asleep." "Emma, why are you leaving? Will you never be able to forgive me?" The girl sat down on a poof in the hallway and started to explain. "I don't blame you for anything. Maybe at that time it was necessary to act exactly like that. I am not a judge to condemn your actions, and the actions of my mother. It happened the way it happened, but I can't stay." Miles didn't understand. "Emma, why? You understand that I have enough space. Why can't you stay if you don't hold a grudge against me?" She looked up at him. "I don't want you to think that I stayed because of your money and I don't know if you want me and my baby to stay here. I don't want to bother you with unexpected relatives." Miles nervously laughed. "This is nonsense. Firstly, you're not guilty that your father is a millionaire. And secondly, Emma, I ask you to stay. I want to have a family, and I want my daughter from the only woman I ever loved to live with me." 4 months later, a strong boy was born. Miles looked at his grandson in amazement. "He's so small, so cute, and I'm a grandfather." The man carefully took the baby in his arms and felt something pinch in his eyes. He quickly turned away so Emma wouldn't notice, but she did. She put her hand on his shoulder. "Dad, what's wrong?" Miles hugged her tightly with his other arm. "Oh, Emma, we'll live so well now. Stefan will go hunting and fishing with me. We'll box together." Emma laughed. "Not so fast. He doesn't even know how to walk yet." "It doesn't matter. We'll learn everything quickly together," replied the happy Miles. If you enjoyed the story, please support me with a thumbs up button. Thank you.